Good morning. We are continuing with our persuasive writing unit this week, and today we are going to do a bit of a recap on all the things that we learnt last week. So for this lesson, you will need the following things: a copy of the persuasive texts, and you will find these in Monday's folder on the website, something to write with, something to write on, and your thinking brains. If you don't have these things, then I suggest you stop the video and get them before you continue. So in order to identify persuasive features, we need to identify the language features of a persuasive text, outline their purpose, explain how the features persuade the reader, evaluate the impact the text has on the reader. So before we go any further, I want you to engage your thinking brains. Let's see how good your memory is. I'd like you, in a second, to stop the video and write down all the features of a persuasive text that you can remember. Right, let's see how you did. Did you write down a title? We need to know what the text is going to be about. Have you introduced it? Have you given reasons to support your view? Usually this will be in separate paragraphs. Have you included facts, statistics? Have you used emotive language, powerful adjectives, for example? Have you used modal verbs to show the possibilities? Have you used imperative verbs giving instructions? Have you used cohesive devices, like conjunctions for linking ideas together? Maybe you put down adverbial phrases. I know these are a type of cohesive device, but you may have them written down separately. Have you written a conclusion showing your personal opinions? And for this, you might have to use lots more emotive language. Have you included rhetorical questions? And what about photographs? How many of these did you actually find? We didn't really talk much about photographs last week, and I wonder how many of you actually included this on your list, but I'm going to try and show you how important they can be. Have a look at these images of chocolate cakes. What is the same and what is different? Which ones would you like to eat, and which ones do you think look less appetizing? Once again, stop the video and jot down some of your ideas. Now, could you imagine finding a mouth-watering recipe for a chocolate cake and then seeing this? I love chocolate, but this image would definitely put me off making it. I'd much rather have this one. Powerful images can be very persuasive. Now let's move on and look at some of the persuasive features that we do know. For my examples, I've attempted to use some of the language features to persuade you to make this cake. Can you spot them? Let's just have a little bit of a reminder of what you're looking for. Modal verbs, imperative verbs, cohesive devices, emotive language, adverbial phrases, rhetorical questions. Sentence number 1. Impress your friends and family with this chocolatey delight. Number 2. If you prefer, you can add chocolate buttons to the top rather than Smarties. Number 3. This light fluffy sponge is coated in rich dark chocolate filled with juicy raspberries and oodles of double cream, and topped with buttercream peaks and a lake of rainbow-coloured treats. So stop the video and see if you can identify the persuasive features before you move on. Just write a list of each of them. Here's your next 3 sentences. Number 4, although this is not an everyday treat, as the rich chocolate melts in your mouth, you will not regret trying it. Number 5, at your next family celebration, you could amaze everyone with this spectacular Smartie cake. And number 6, do you crave chocolate? So stop the video and add to your list of persuasive features before you move on. Okay, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that I've got a key. So imperative verbs will be in green, emotive language in red, modal verbs in light blue, cohesive devices in purple, rhetorical questions in dark blue, and adverbial phrases in orangey yellow. Let's see if you match any of the ones that I've identified. So number 1, impress is an imperative verb. And then you've got chocolatey delight, emotive language. If you prefer, you can add chocolate buttons to the top rather than Smarties. So there's our modal verb. And I hope you notice that chocolate buttons and Smarties have capital letters because they are the names of certain products. And number 3, this light, fluffy sponge is coated in rich, dark chocolate, filled with juicy raspberries and oodles of double cream, and topped with buttercream peaks and a lake of rainbow-coloured treats. So lots and lots of emotive language. I want my readers to really, really want to make this cake. Our next few sentences. Although this is not an everyday treat, as the rich chocolate melts in your mouth, you will not regret trying it. So we have a cohesive device at the beginning. We've got lots more emotive language, and we've got a negative modal verb, will not. I know some of you got a little bit confused with this last week. Number 5, at your next family celebration. Now it is a cohesive device because it will link, that sentence will link with another one, but it's also telling you when you can do it. So it is an adverbial phrase. Then you've got another modal verb, could, and you've got more emotive language. You can amaze everybody with this spectacular Smartie cake. And our last sentence is in fact a rhetorical question. I want my reader to think about whether or not they crave chocolate. I don't actually need them to tell me. If you found all of them, well done. Brilliant job. Now it's time to become a reading detective. And your first task is a little bit of a long one. You are going to choose 3 out of 4 of the persuasive texts you've been given. Doesn't matter which 3, although I would advise Miss Robertson's group to focus on should we pay for plastic bags. Once you've read them, you're going to decide which one is the most persuasive and why. Please don't try to read the information on this slide. It's just to show you the titles of all the texts you've been given. But the text on here is far too small and it is incomplete. You need to use the sheets that you've been provided with. So stop the video, and you may have to stop it for a good 20-25 minutes to make sure that you've read the texts. Your next task is to complete this sentence. I think the text is the most persuasive because. So you've had a chance to read them. Now you've got to pick the one that you think is the most persuasive and try and give me more than one reason why you think it is persuasive. Make sure you've thought about the different texts and written your sentences before you move on. Task number 3. You're going to choose one of the texts and annotate it for persuasive features, just like you did last week with the Adelie Penguin text. Now you can underline the words and phrases in different colours, you can highlight them, or you can just write them down. It's your choice. So stop the video again now and make sure you complete the task before moving on. Congratulations, you have finished your English task for today. Well done, everybody. However, if you wanted an extra challenge, you could do one of the following. You could annotate more or all of the texts, and then you could compare them. Which one has the most persuasive features? Which one uses the most emotive language? Which one uses the most rhetorical questions, for example? Or, challenge number 2, you could add some of your own sentences using persuasive features to one of the texts. Don't forget to upload your annotated text and your challenges, if you did one, to your portfolio. And then it's time for a break before maths.